Welcome to Prescribing Growth. This is our series where we talk to the best minds in auto reconditioning about what it takes to grow a successful business. My name is Matt McAllister. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Mobile Tech RX. Today's episode has an incredible guest. It's Justin Labato. He's an industry consultant. He mentors about 6 people we've already talked to in this series. He is the owner of JL's Showroom Auto Salon. He is all over the place in the auto detailing industry. Justin, I cannot tell you how excited we are to talk to you today. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, Matt, thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to express what can make people more successful.
So obviously we're going to get into the where you started.
Okay.
Where are you today? I mean, we talked earlier, there's about 17 different titles that I could have presented you under.
Yeah. So I look at it, to where it is something where I am juggling multiple titles, but I look at it more of being a product of my environment. We have this space called the detail industry, and there's a lot of opportunities within that space. And, with having the background and knowledge of a technician and detailer of how to polish paint is good back home when you want to be able to make money doing it. But really having the track record of being able to live through the process of the industry, the manufacturing side, the distributing side, the networking side, showing up at events and getting a little golden nugget here and there of information. That's really what I found to be more valuable, because it allows me to structure and frame up a better shop, a better business, and have it more validated, because I know that I'm working with these manufacturers directly, so I could provide something of value to the end user and the consumer coming in my door at the shop.
So what does your relationship look like with the manufacturers?
Well, with a lot of them that go into the events and playing the different positions and roles that I play with, one with Buff and Shine Manufacturing, for example, the lead global consultant. We have a lot of partners to say. And for that reason, it allows me to build relationships with those partners and understanding, being able to match the liquid abrasives that they offer with our pads that we manufacture. And it gives me a better understanding of what those things, their capabilities, their characteristics, what those products can do, versus just watching a YouTube video, buying a couple bottles here and there, and trying to figure it out. And that kind of applies across the board to working with a lot of the manufacturers in general, with being able to test things and work with them and talk directly to the chemist.
Yeah.
Not just read the back of the bottle.
So I think your approach to the holistic view of the business is one that not a lot of people in auto reconditioning as a whole, not just detailing, have. Is they're focused on my shop, my 4 walls. Maybe it's not even a shop, maybe it's my mobile van.
Correct. The business, or the kind of business that they're.
You're looking at who's bringing products to you, how do I build relationships with them? Is that rare? Is that something you see often? People are willing to build relationships with manufacturers as well as be a shop owner?
There's a small group, that's, I would say, set the trail for that within the industry. That group has grown. People are seeing the value in, coming to the events and establishing and building relationships with different manufacturers of their preference. So the value is there, and they're seeing it. So it's happening more often. The evolution of that is gaining.
How much has your relationship with the manufacturers helped your business?
Tremendously. And when I need something to have a question about for somebody, or I need something because something didn't go right, I can make that direct phone call. I don't have to worry about a third party distributor or rep that I have to call and then wait for an answer. So that helped me individually, but it also helped me have a more accurate resource for the end user, and it gives them the confidence as a business owner that when they come to us, that we're not dealing with going through the loops and ladders of everything to figure out an answer. If we don't have it directly, we get to go directly to the source and find that answer. Or when we answer a question, it typically has come from the source.
So if you're a newer detailer, maybe you've even been doing it for a few years and you're deciding to upgrade your business, how do you break into those relationships?
Showing up to events, showing up to Mobile Tech, showing up to SEMA. Now, I understand these things cost money, but we all know the old saying, it takes money to make money. And if you're not investing in yourself, then you're not investing in your business.
So JL's Showroom Auto Salon has been around for how long?
I'm going into my 12th year business.
12th year.
Yeah. And I started actually, just to give you a little background.
Yeah, tell me the story.
So I'm 37. I was 25. When I got into the detailing business, I had actually been unemployed. I was laid off. It was during the 2008 timeframe when the economy kind of crashed. I had worked for a company that we did raw material of wood. It was a wood mill and built cabinets, all sorts of things. He laid myself and 5 other people off. So it wasn't a direct thing. It was as a whole for overhead. During that time, my engine blew on my car as well. So it was like one thing after another. 25 years old, and you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel at that age. You just hope that you can make something happen. And so I ended up getting a car off the side of a very very busy road, US 1 here in Florida. It has constant traffic. So that car being off the side of the road was collecting a lot of road dust. So it wasn't very pretty, and it was white. So you saw everything. The place that I'm in now, that I'm established at with my business, was a car audio window tint business that I had worked at in the early 2000s. And so I had developed a relationship with them and one of the technicians that knew about detailing, even though he was a car audio technician. So I had gone to him and I said, hey, I need to clean this thing up. I know you know about detailing. All I know is how to wash a car. What can you show me? So he had shown me a couple things in the parking lot, such as a clay bar. I got the whole wow factor after it was rough, and then he clayed it and it was smooth. I was like, ooh, this is cool. So I had cleaned the vehicle in that parking lot, which ironically happens to be where my building is today. I was like, man, this is an opportunity, I think. I like this. And I wasn't shy on working. I've always worked hard. From the age of 19 years old to 30, I competitively boxed and kickboxed. So when it comes to hard work, there's nothing on being at the gym 3-4 days a week.
Nothing's harder than that.
And sparring. And I didn't train to just say I was in the gym. I trained to compete with over 100 fights. So it was one of those things that was my mentality. So with that and hard work, I was like, I got this. I can do this. So I went up to the guy up front into the building and I said, hey, is there some detailers that you are aware of? And he's like, yeah. And he gave me a couple names. There was one guy that had a really good reputation. I'd actually seen some of his work in that shop, finish work wise. And so 2008 timeframe, we're not talking paint correction. We're not talking coatings. We're talking just being able to clean and shine cars, basic stuff. So I had took it upon myself to go down that laundry list of names, and I put his name last. I got declined because they all know I wanted to start a business doing it. I was just looking for someone to show me the right ropes instead of trying to jump into it.
So they saw you as competition even then?
Yeah, I think that's how they viewed it.
Sure.
Young guy, 25 years old. I want to learn the business. Can you show me? And then I want to go start my own. Mm-hmm. You're
training your competition.
Yeah. So, and I get that. I respect that. This guy, on the other hand, at the end of the day, I went to him and he said, yeah, if you're looking to do it, I need help anyways. You're more than welcome to start. That was June 1st of 2008. January 1st, I had that business. 6 months later, and I never looked back.
Where's that? What happened in those 6 months?
I worked for him. He had an opportunity from a family member to take over another business doing water conditioning, which was a very large business that accommodated the community on the south side of the county, that there was a demand for it. And so he saw an opportunity and position, which gave me an opportunity and position. We made a gentleman's agreement, and I didn't have money. I come from being unemployed. A couple $100 in the bank account. I literally had zero before I started working for him because of getting that car. So I was at zero unemployed, and then getting the business, and then just keeping my eyes on the prize and focusing on my craft, taking the local successful business owners that I knew. I had a guy that I knew very well that I used to work with at the gym, and had a car wash and detailing business. So he showed me how to package and price things. So by picking their brains and kind of letting that light mentorship guide me, I just slowly chiseled away at everything moving forward into those early years.
So you're a learner, and that's pretty clear. You're somebody who wants to find opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
I think the best have to be, regardless of industry. Mm-hmm. How did you decide how to prioritize what you needed to learn? 'Cause I think a lot of people that could be watching this could say, I need to learn all of it. How could I possibly learn all of it?
It's a focus of accomplishing things in order. phase 1, phase 2, step 1, step 2.
What were the steps for you as you started taking over this business 6 months into learning how to be a detailer?
It was one, making sure that I produced good work. Just like any other detailer, making sure that the paint is the shiniest and defect-free as you can be. Making sure that interior is as spot-free as you can be. Focused on the craft. The early years of that, all we had was YouTube. All we had was Mike Phillips, Rennie Doyle. There wasn't many people that were even producing video content during those years. It was a rarity. That was the transition of MySpace to Facebook. So social media wasn't really popping the way it is now. It wasn't as big of a platform as you have many now. So it was a different time of just being able to listen and learn and just practice, practice, practice. But not just practice, but try to make it perfect practice. So it became a standard. And I did market analysis. I called shops. I cold called shops, acting like somebody, like a consumer, just to see how they answered, just to see how they, offered their services. And I wanted to do it better. So for that, I basically evolved into making sure that I wordsmith things in a way that allowed me to answer the phones better. When somebody had certain questions, how to answer those questions without over-talking, under-talking, and actually talking to them. Listening and understanding what their concerns were. All of these things I had to develop and skills I had to develop as I went along, because I knew that if I was going to have this one shot, this one opportunity to own a business, whether it become big and it gets scaled out and resellable or it just becomes a business, it's my first opportunity to have a business. So for that reason, I did the right thing with integrity, and I just kept on trying to learn and execute these little things. Some things failed. Some things worked, some things were So I took what I needed from it and just made sure that I was hard enough on myself. I grew up in a very rough way. I don't have a high school education, I have a GED. I have a very rough background on the way I came up. Now, there was goods and bads to that, a strong Italian household for morals, values, and integrity, but there was also the loose ends of that from the streets. So education wasn't my best thing, but I also knew as I got older, working smarter, not harder, was a huge thing.
All right, so you're 25.
Correct.
25, said I want to be a detailer. 6 months later, you own a shop.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you made as a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, 27-year-old running your own detailing shop?
I got punched in the head a lot of times, so I don't remember a lot. I never really dwelled on a lot of those. It was honestly just looking at what I needed to change and move forward. I didn't look at it so much as a mistake as so much of I need to do this better. Mistakes, I would say, in business. I didn't learn the business side as early as I should have or wanted to. I focused too much on the paint, I focused too much on the products, and too much on the craft. I wish I would have learned more of the business stuff sooner, because I think I would have been a lot further along. I learned what not to do with certain, aspects of detailing, like I tried to expand and go into mobile, and I realized that the mobile market for me personally, coming from a shop, it sucked. It was hard. I could have an account at an office and doing multiple vehicles, and somebody comes in and does them each for $5 cheaper. Now I'm not getting a phone call and retention from them. And that's just how the market is, no matter where you're at. The air compressor goes while I'm on the road. What do? If I'm in the shop, I have alternatives. When you're on the road,
You're done.
You're up against the wall. Your generator goes something. So it's little things like that I learned from, and then leaving my shop and people being at the shop, banging on the door, calling me, where are you at? I want to get my car done. Oh, I'm on the road. I have this new mobile thing that I'm doing as well. Oh, and then never hear from them again.
What are steps you could take as a beginning or even mid-stage detailer to be more professional, to set your value higher?
Taking advantage of the content that's on the market now from people that know what they're talking about, know what they're doing. Take advantage of the webinars, take advantage of the continued education stuff. That way it helps the path to success be less resistant. The path to success will always have resistance, but by listening to people that have been there, done that, you at least may not be able to execute it the same way they did, but you'll be able to take things that they did to help your path be a little bit easier. And it will set you up for a better and more successful path, I think, by doing that. Just, 2 ears and one mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak.
What do you think is most important from a professionalism perspective? If you're a detailer showing up either to your own shop, mobile, wholesale, whatever you're doing, what's the best way to represent yourself as a professional in that time and space to a potential client?
Appearance, making sure that you have a uniformed base outfit, whether it's color coded, clean cut, shave. If you have a beard, wear it proudly, but wear it in a manner that is clean cut. Your mobile unit, make it presentable. Presentation is everything. Presentation is the first part of that first time getting to know somebody, that first experience of everything. That you'll never be able to change. First impression, once that impression is made, that holds for a while. You could try to reverse it, but it's more difficult to reverse it than it is just to give a good, great impression.
So you mentioned you've seen success year over year, percentage growth. What do you credit for that growth every year? How have you continued to keep your business growing steadily over a 12-year period?
I would credit getting involved because my first show was in 2014 and it was here at Mobile Tech. This show, I had never been to any kind of reconditioning show, detail show, event, expo, you name it. So when I came here, I got to see people that I only saw online, the Mike Phillips, the Rennie Doyle. And getting in front of them and actually being able to shake their hands and get to know them and realize they're real people, they're not just on video, that changed everything because then I got linked up with Rennie and with his training. Now there's a lot of trainings now on the market, but with his, it's very unique because you don't just get detail training.
No.
You get business, you get balance, you get family, you get, where you learn how to balance family and business. And you have to basically, the amount of motivation and dedication you have to your business should be going right back to your home life.
How are you measuring it yourself at your shop?
With growth, for example, bringing on one employee as a part-time and then providing enough work to say, okay, now it's time for you to go full-time. I need you more often. And then that full-time guy and me going at it all the time and being like, man, we need some help. We should probably pull in a part-time guy. And then that part-time goes right through the same motion. You part-time to full-time. Now, obviously, during this process, you probably filter through a couple of employees because that's how it works. When running a business, you go through the labor pool. But yeah, over time, that growth happens. Some of them you just dump money into and you don't see a return, and it sucks. And I've done that, and I've learned from it. And that's one of the learning curves is you dump money into a certain thing, and then you don't see a return. You're like, oh, crap. Damn, I just lost all that. But then you learn when it comes time to renew, or hopefully if you're not under contract, that you just dead it right there and move forward and save your money or redirect it. But no, as far as, the growth aspect is you get to a certain point where you start to see where as you're managing it and as you're growing, you're watching the numbers and you're seeing what services sell, what services don't sell, how to capitalize on those.
So you talked about hiring, and I think that's a big topic. Every business hopes to get to a point where they need help. I'm curious for when you knew you needed help. You talked about hiring part-time, then full-time, then potentially more part-time. Was that based on level of work? Was that based on revenue? What were you looking at to know I need to hire someone now?
I wanted to make more money. I mean, we're in business to make money. If you want to, detail as a hobby, that's great, and you're stuck in plateau at the dollar amount you pull in and you kind of hit a wall. But I wanted to make more money. And in order to make more money, I was getting the throughput of business, but I wasn't able to do it all by myself. And obviously, adding somebody else helps expedite the turnaround time to get more work.
Did you see work increase as you hired people?
Correct. And for quite a few years now, I book 3 to 5 weeks out year round. It's Florida. It's rain, but there's no snow. Sometimes up to 8 weeks. We do everything by deposit. I started exercising deposits in 2013, just playing with it. And moving into 2014, it was like, this is what we're going to do. Because it also eliminated a lot of flaky people. A lot of people that just no call, no show.
Is that pretty common for deposits to be?
It's becoming more common. And it's funny because I see a lot more detailers in my area doing it. And it's like, as bad as I would love to be able to take credit, obviously there's other industries that have always done deposits. But I know at the bottom of my heart that that's something that I definitely helped the wave.
There's an influence there.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the best way to describe it.
So how do you think about demand, creating demand? I mean, it sounds like you haven't had much of an issue of keeping business going. I mean, as far as the bookings being 8 weeks out in some cases, does that impact your marketing? Is that because of your marketing? What do you think is responsible for that combination?
A combination of quality work. I mean, tattoo artists, for example. You enjoy getting ink, you enjoy getting a tattoo, and within that community, if you know that there's a really good artist, they typically have a waiting list months out at times. You put a deposit down if you really want them because of their work, you're gonna wait. We're in a luxury business. Nobody needs to have their car professionally detailed. They want. They could go to the store and get the products and maintain their automotive investment by themselves. But what they want is a professional to give it that show car glamour like touch, that magic that they don't know where it comes from, but when they get their car back, it's so fresh, it's so clean, it's so shiny. So we're a luxury business. So if you build up the image and you provide that image and the integrity of that, and you...
How do you represent that level of luxury in your marketing?
Become very good at what you do. Don't pull the whole fake it till you make it BS. Actually execute it. Do what you say you're gonna do with integrity and deliver on that with a little bit more every time.
And what marketing has been most successful for you? Social media?
Social media is good. It helps. Really good website. You want SEO on it. And websites, you gotta at least start somewhere. If you're on a budget, yes, go on, get a page. And then as soon as you could reinvest into getting a couple of pages that describe you and your business a little bit more, do that. And do a reputable resource. I mean, there's GoDaddy. There's all these resources now that across the board that have great platforms.
How much of your business comes in through your website versus through phone call or showing up at the door?
A lot, just because of getting Google reviews, responding to all the Google reviews. That's key. You could have all the Google reviews you want in the world. If you have 100 of them, but the guy at your competition has 50 and he's responded to all 50 of his, you're screwed. He's gonna get more business than you. So responding and communicating, communication is key. That's where setting expectations also comes in, but that helps drive traffic. And then of course, it's the consistency. Make a couple videos, get out of your shell.
So you took some early steps to get in touch with people like Rennie, like Mike Phillips. What are some of the things that you learned from those guys early on that you immediately took back to your shop and made changes?
Well, giving credit to both Mike and Rennie, Mike I've always watched on the craft side. Him working for AutoGeek, there was so many videos on the market and such a great and rich resource at the time. As were Rennie, when I was coming across his videos, he was always talking business. My mindset wasn't business, so I didn't pay as much of attention to those as I should have. But when I met him in person, again, it was that time and space in life that it just clicked. And because I met him in January for the Mobile Tech Show. In August, and it's funny, I met him and he had this big banner behind him that had him on Air Force One. I'm like, oh shit, this guy cleans Air Force One. That's cool. He must be the, he's a detail god. Who cleans Air Force One, right? And August of that same year, I was on Air Force One. And there was no different opportunities that were given to me that weren't given to other people who have gone through his training.
Well, Justin, your involvement in every aspect of the detailing industry is inspiring, I think, to many. How much you've been involved on the manufacturing side and the P&S side with Detail Mafia, with your own business. I mean, it's clear that as a group, the detailing industry is realizing that you can be stronger together than just as one siloed business. I think that's, you and I were talking before off camera, that even now, the industry is still in a pretty infantile stage. It's still very early. I think your example of understanding not just how my four walls work, but how the state of the industry operates and who's out there to help me understand the things that I don't know is the only way the industry is going to get stronger, going to get better over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So we thank you for jumping on this episode.
Yeah.
We thank you for sharing your knowledge. We appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Justin.